Shalom and welcome to Yeshiva B'nai Noach. I'm Tom Averna. This is the Beginning Biblical Hebrew course. I am adding to Chapter 20 an extra practice for infinitives and verb review. So again, hopefully this will help. And then after this, I believe next week, next Sunday, we'll start on Chapter 21. Again, all of this because as I'm going through my live class, the class that meets in my home, I'm finding out issues and things that need to be addressed. So this chapter seemed to have been hard for a number of reasons. It may not have been for everyone, but I just want to give a little extra time and effort and emphasis on this chapter. And hopefully it will build that foundation that you'll need to continue on, that I needed to continue on with the rest of the chapters in the book. So let's see if this helps. If it does, great. If it doesn't, well, then you probably already understand this better than I do. so congratulations. But let's see if this helps at all in what you're doing and what we're doing. I've gone over most of this before. I want to go over it again. And this part, I guess let me preface the whole thing with saying what I have done here, as you'll see in a minute, is I've taken the verbs from exercise 1 of chapter 20 and also the verbs from exercise 8 in chapter 20. And I've just separated them out, so we're going to be looking at them on their own. As we do this, what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'll go through the whole process, but I'm going to ask you to do your practicing on your own as well. You can do that with a video, or you can do it by going to Google Docs and downloading the PDF. I'm sorry, I think it's a document, actually, a text document, Microsoft Word document, that has all of these verb forms on it so that you can then practice on the sheet. So either way, whatever works for you. And if you don't know how to get to Google Docs, be sure and contact me and I'll try and help you through it. It's pretty easy to do. All right, so first thing is to review everything that we've looked at in terms of verb forms so far. And everything, and this is the beautiful thing about this book. I really like this book, the way it's set up, the way it does most everything. So it's given you some foundations. And I've said this over and over and over again. I will keep saying it. The key to understanding Hebrew is to recognize patterns. And that's the beauty of the power of this language. It's a language of patterns. It's a language of mystery, if you will. So recognizing the patterns is going to help. So if you have learned your perfect pattern and your imperfect pattern, this will help you immensely as we continue. The reason that this is highlighted, you'll see when we get to the exercises. I'm going to want you to identify, is it perfect? That would be with a P. Is it imperfect? That would be with an I. So again, know that in the perfect form, you're looking for a suffix. If you have a suffix attached to the root of the verb, and the vowels can change. Don't get too hung up on the vowels. Look for the 3-letter root in the vowel. Shema, 3-letter root. So look for that root. If that root has a suffix on it, then it's a perfect form. It's essentially past tense. Again, remember, there is no completely past or future tense in Hebrew, but for all intents and purposes, consider it the past tense. Perfect is the past tense. It's completed action. And then the imperfect form, which is incomplete action, which is the perfect tense, which is the future tense, essentially, not always, then it's going to have primarily a prefix. Remember, there can also be suffixes, and that'll be important to note here in just a minute. But primarily, if you see the root form of the verb with a prefix in front of it, another letter in front of it, that tells you that that is absolutely the imperfect form, the future tense again, sort of the verb. So perfect past is the suffix because we're dealing with what's on the end. We're dealing with what's happened before. It's the past. It's at the end here. So that's the suffix form. The future is ahead of us, if you will. So that's going to be at the beginning of the form of the root. Okay, so those are the two key, the two tenses we've learned, and they're really the only true tenses that exist in the Hebrew language. These tenses have aspects to them, and that's what we'll look at here as well. And we'll, at the end of the book, we'll get into all of the other patterns that you'll see. But all of them will depend on your having a good foundation right here with your perfect and imperfect tense. All right. Now, the active participle, we learned that is essentially, and the infinitive form essentially is the present tense, but it really isn't. But again, just to simplify things, you can think of perfect as past, imperfect as future, and then the to be verbs or the ing verbs are going to be your present tense, your active participle. Okay, so what you're looking for there, here's the pattern. You're looking for the O, the vowel O. It could be with a vav or without a vav. You're looking for the O following the first consonant. Okay, so it can appear like this: show mea or show mea. Same thing. O with or without the vav. And when you see that, that is your participle form. You can add ing and say the subject who is verbing, or you can say the subject is verbing, or or one who verbs, or you can say the verb. These are all the ways that you can translate the active participle. So guarding, the one who guards, the one who is guarding. Or it can just be in a noun form. It can be the guard or the watcher. Okay? That's active. That's action going on actively at the present time, or at least in an ongoing nature. Okay, now the passive participle, we haven't got a lot of practice with that, but we'll get some here. Is instead of the O after the first consonant, you have an oo after the second consonant. So sham-oo-ah. Or it can be with or without the vav. Sham-oo-ah. That's your passive participle. And you can just say being heard in this case, being verbed, or was heard, or is heard. Any tense can work with this, but it's the action. The subject is not doing the action. The subject is generally receiving the action. Okay, there's no action taking place between the subject and the whatever the object of the sentence might be, and generally there is no object of the sentence. Okay, so that's these are the main ones. So your perfect, imperfect, active participle, passive participle. So now from there, let's go to the next slide. From there, we learn the infinitive commands, or the infinitive form, I should say. The infinitive form is also easily recognized if you have the pattern. So what you essentially learned, and this is something that wasn't in the book, at least not obvious in the book, and I'm going to show you something here in just a moment. But here's the pattern for the command form of the infinitive. It is the imperfect form with no prefix And it might look like to you the perfect form because you just have the root here, but that would always have or generally have a kamats under here. So there's no kamats. That's another pattern you're looking for. There's no kamats in the command form. But there's also no prefix. Even though this is the imperfect form, there's no prefix. So that is your clue. That is your pattern. So normally, you would see this in the imperfect form, and again, the vowels can change. Don't be concerned about the vowels, but say tishma or tishmei, tishmeu. And this is what confused the class a lot here. So this is why I think it's important to recognize that this is the imperfect pattern, the imperfect conjugation, but without the prefix. However, it can have the the suffix. So remember that in the imperfect form, to e was feminine. To e was feminine, right? So that's why this is what confused the class a lot, because e seemed like a masculine ending, which it often is. It means I or can be me in many cases. But in the infinitive command form, it's going to be the imperfect conjugation without the tav, without the first letter. Okay, and always in a command, you're commanding you're commanding a particular person. So it's why it's always the tav that has been removed here. It's not going to be, any other letter but the tav here. All right. So again, if you can get that pattern down, if you can remember that, just if you add a tav to this word, you would see the pattern of the imperfect. But without the tav, it's simply a command. So hear or listen, but this would be masculine. Hear or listen, but this would be a feminine subject. And remember that in the imperfect form, te'u is they. Te'u is they. So this would be listen or hear talking to a group of people. Okay. Te'u would be they. Now you don't have you can have, but the book doesn't teach it because it doesn't appear in biblical Hebrew, but it might appear in modern Hebrew. So for instance, if this were shim, shimna, then na, remember, tina is feminine plural form, you feminine plural. Okay, again, it's the imperfect form. And if all this is confusing to you, watch it over and over again until it makes sense, because this is important. This is the foundation. You've got to learn this. You've got to get through this. So again, remember that the command form is the imperfect form of the conjugation of the verb, but without a prefix. Okay? Without a prefix. So if you can begin to recognize that, that's your pattern here. Now, the infinitive of emphasis, remember that's what we said we go next to a verb, either before it or after another verb that is the exact same verb as this. And it just translates as really or surely. It emphasizes the main verb of the sentence. The pattern for that is the O, not in the second position, but in the but not after the first consonant, but after the second consonant, which is the third position. Okay, if you were counting vowels as positions. So yadua, yadua, and this again, the vav can disappear, so don't be confused by that. But if the O follows the second consonant, because this verb is yada, to know, yada, so 3 consonants. The O follows the second consonant, and the kamats, and this is where you have to recognize this. You'll see the kamats, and I've said kamats. You should immediately recognize is the perfect tense or past tense. In this case, when it has the o in the position here, that's an exception to that. So you see the ya, but then you see o, yad o, a o. So that is your emphasis verb. Now, here's something I don't think the book pointed out, but just to share this with you. In all of the exercises, I think you're just going to see the yadoa next to another verb. So yadoa da, or yadoa yada. He really knew. Okay, so that's the way it'll appear in our book exercises. But you can see this. This is still an infinitive verb form. You can see this as the only verb of the sentence, in which case it would be knowing. You add your ing again, or is knowing, or know. But you can use this as the regular verb of the sentence. But right now, your book, I think, just points out that it is acting as a verb of emphasis when you see it together with another verb. Okay, and then the last one is what we normally think of as the infinitive, and it's the technical term is the infinitive construct. Okay, with the infinitive construct, you're simply adding. Again, you have your same root, shema, but now your pattern is it-o, it-o, it-o. Again, the verbs of the vowels can change, but essentially it-o is what you're looking for. Shemo, ah, shemo, ah, shemoah. Okay, but in front of this, you're going to add a lamed, which means two or four. So this is to hear, to hear. That's in its basic form, to hear. Okay, but it can appear in several different ways. It can appear as a verbal noun. So the example, an example just in English is, if you were reading it in Hebrew, it would be good it is to hear Adonai, to hear the Lord. But then you would translate it as it is good to hear. Okay, so is still the verb of the sentence. To hear is not the verb. To hear is actually modifying, or explaining to you what is good. It's good to hear. And then hear whom? Hear the Lord. Hear who, okay? So that's as a noun. But the only thing you have to know, again, is to translate this as to verb, to hear. Okay. It can also be an adverb showing the purpose of the verb. He came. Why did he come? He came to hear the king. Again, this would be lishma would be in the sentence, as well as ba, came. So he came to hear. Ba lishma, shemoah, ba lishmoah. He came, Hamelech, he came to hear the king. So then the third thing it could be, again, all of these would be called the infinitive construct, and all of these so far are going to start with a lamed. It can be a verb of completion. Again, it's an adverb completing the verb. Okay, so he is not able, and generally the able verb is the one you would use here. You would see he is not able. What? He's not able what? What? You have to complete that. He is not able. He is not able to hear. It's explaining what he's not able to do. He's not able to hear the king. So now lishmoah completes the verb of the sentence. Still not the verb of the sentence. It's an adverb in some capacity, helping you to understand the verb of the sentence. And then finally, the last thing we learn is that instead of the lamed, you can also have a prefix of kaf or of bet. Okay, those two prefixes could be, but it'll do the same thing. You have the same root, same shemoa, but it would be bishmoa or kishmoa or kishmoa. Okay, um, and that is called the verb of timing. It gives you a duration of time that the verb is going for. So in the hearing of the king, the word. So if you saw b'shema, the literal translation is in the hearing. Okay, in the hearing. But the better way to translate that is, instead of in for bet, you would translate that with a time adverb word, which would be when. Could be when the king heard. Could be, with a kaf. It could be during uh, the hearing of the word, etc. So those are the main thing, though, here for this exercise. I just want you to recognize what verb form we're looking at. Is it the command form? Is it the emphasis form? Is it the infinitive, just straight infinitive form? Okay. We're not going to be distinguishing noun, purpose, completion, or timing. Here, when we do the translations, this will be important for you to remember. All right. A lot of information here. Go over it and over it and over it, over it and over it and over it until it becomes a lot clearer to you than it might be now. Okay. It will make sense as you go over it. So the last thing I want to review with you, and this is from your book, chapter 20, I believe, might have been from 19. Let's see, I think it was in 20. In the negative form, just look real quick. No, so it must have been 19. But at any rate, your book does have this information in it. But this confused my class, and it confused me too, because there's two things to remember. Lo negates a verb, and so does al negate a verb, but both have a different function. Okay, the negative lo doesn't change anything about the verb. Nothing is changed. It just negates it. So this is you make is the verb you make. So you do not make, or you, I'm sorry, but this will be future tense. You will not make war. You will not make war. Now, your book says something here, and this is kind of what got a little confusing. People wanted to make lo as the unusual one. It's not. This is the normal negative, and it can be used with any verb tense, any verb form here. Okay, and it doesn't change the verb. The al is the unusual one. So don't always think of this as, you don't always have to translate this in the King James English. Thou shalt not make war. All right, it's important to know when we're reading biblical Hebrew that if this word is used, it does emphasize the negative, perhaps a little bit more, but it doesn't have to. Okay, so just remember, all the lo does is it negates the verb. It says the opposite of the action of the verb. It negates it. Okay. Now the other thing, and this is where you need to remember this. The al, on the other hand, the al does change the verb. The al is always followed by the imperfect tense. Okay. So this is you will open. You will open is the verb. But with the al in front of it, it doesn't become you will not open. It doesn't do that. If this were lo, it would be you will not open. But with al, it's the command form. This is what's important to remember. Al makes whatever verb follows it the command form. What that means is you don't care what the pronoun is here. You don't care about number, gender, or pronoun. It doesn't matter. It's the command form. It can show you that you're dealing with a you subject, but the command form is simply don't open, don't open the gate. So it's not you don't, it's just don't. It's the command form, as if you were saying open, period, open, be the command form. This says don't open. Okay? So remember that the command form normally drops the tav, but this is what gets confusing, because the tav is there, but this is the command form because al is in front of it. So I mean, if you think of al as being something that eats the tav, I don't know if that helps, but if it does, work with that imagery. The al eats the tav, and it simply leaves the command form of the verb. So al tiftach, don't open the gate. Not you, you will not open the gate. Just don't open the gate. Okay. All right. So that's our review. That's the tough part, in a way. So what I want to do now, just as we switch slides here, and this is again where I'm going to tell you, come back here as often as you need to. I'm just going to go through these, and then you can stop the video at some point. I'll review what I've shown you here, and you can come back to it. But again, all of this is exercise 1, and then we'll also then look at exercise 8, sentences, just the verbs form. So what I want you to do, and again, you can download this from Google Docs, and take kind of the review yourself, separate from the video would be my recommendation. But first, watch the video, make sure you understand what we're doing here. Or you can just do it on the video without seeing the answers, by stopping it like at this point and then going through it after you've seen it once. Okay, so here's the highlight just to remind you. So if it's a perfect tense, then it would be P. If it's imperfect, I. If it's the command form, C. If it's the negative command, NC. If it's the infinitive, it would be IN. If it's the negative infinitive, it would be NI. If it's emphasis, it would be E. I can't remember. I don't know that we have participles in here, but if we did, so the active participle would be AP, and the passive participle would be PP. Okay. And then, if applicable, in addition to identifying the verb type, also let me know what the person, gender, and number is. And again, I'll go through all of this with you, or for you, and then you'll come back here and do it on your own, either on paper or here on the video. All right? So let's start the way we always do on these exercises. We'll just read through it. So, shakhavti, yaladti, yakolti, yarashti, eshkav, eled, uchal, irash. Okay. So this would be, has a suffix, right? There's the shakav is the verb, has a suffix, so that tells you that it is perfect, the perfect tense. Okay. And it is T is the first person, I, so you don't have to identify a gender or number, it's just I. Okay. Here, yaladti, again, it's P, perfect, with the pronoun of I. Notice your kamats, recognize that as your your perfect vowel pattern, and notice the suffix. Okay. Yakolti, T, suffix, so perfect, and then I is your pronoun. Okay, yarashti, yarashti. We're not even worrying about translations right now. You did that in the other exercise, but if it helps to translate, that's fine too. But anyway, yarashti. So you have the suffix, so that's perfect, P, perfect tense. and I is the pronoun, yarashti. Okay, now we have something a little different. We have eshkav. So now shakav is the verb. There's no suffix. We have a prefix. That means what? That it's the imperfect form. Imperfect. So I. And the pronoun is, just like these were, is also I. This is the prefix that tells you the pronoun is I. So I. So imperfect, I. Okay. Elech. Elech. Again, imperfect form because there's no kamats in the first position here. Okay, so that makes this the imperfect. And if this is the imperfect, that means this first letter is your prefix and gives you your pronoun. So again, this is the I verb type, and the pronoun is also I. So I. Okay, so now you have uchal, and this is the yachal verb is the one that's kind of is an exception in many cases, but so you just have to know that the imperfect form of I of the verb to be of the be verb um, has the oo in the second position, which is different than, remember, the passive participle has the oo in the third position or after the second consonant. Okay, so this is the imperfect form with I as your pronoun. So I will be able is the pronunciation, but it's going to be I/I, imperfect, and I. Okay, and then irash. Irash, again, you have your imperfect form, and you have your yarash is the verb. So that is imperfect with the pronoun I. Okay. Down here, line 2, suffix, perfect. So perfect tense, second person singular, you. So the pronoun is you, masculine singular. Perfect tense, you, masculine singular. Perfect tense, you, masculine singular. Now, and this is the dead giveaway, but again, you don't see the kamats here. If you have put a tav in front of it, you'd have the imperfect tense, tishkav, but there's no tav, so this has to be the C, the command form, so you don't need a person, gender, or number. It's just the command form. Lie down, lie down. Okay. Al tishkav, and again, your giveaway is the exclamation point, but even without that, you do have the tav here. So you recognize that as being your imperfect form, but the all in front of it means that you don't care that it has a pronoun here. It's just don't shakav, don't lie down, don't lie down. So both of these, this one and this one, are both command forms. You don't need a person, gender, or number to follow it. Tuchal. Tuchal, again, this is our kind of unusual form for the be able verb. But this is the again the imperfect tense. So you, and you do translate the pronoun here, so it's imperfect, and it's you, so it's you, masculine singular. You will be able. Okay, or tirash, again the imperfect tense. You, masculine singular. You will inherit. So there's there's your reminder. Perfect tense, I pronoun. Imperfect tense, I pronoun. Perfect tense, you masculine singular for these three. Command form, negative command. Imperfect tense, both of them you masculine singular. All right. So again, stop the video as you need to, practice as you need to, get out download the other sheet of paper and take your review on a separate place, and just make sure you can do this fairly quickly and go through it. Okay. Going on, I'm going to kind of speed things up a little bit here because you've seen the other one. But again, we have perfect tense. We have the t. We have the suffix that says that the pronoun is you feminine singular. You feminine singular. So the p slash you feminine singular. Okay. This then there's no prefix. I'm sorry. There's no suffix. There is a prefix. Okay. There is a prefix here, so that tells you that this is the imperfect tense, I imperfect tense, but te is your feminine singular form, pronoun, okay? Person, number, gender, you feminine singular, okay? So this was P, you feminine singular. This is I, you feminine singular. Here is your command form with the E ending. So that tells you that this is feminine singular, but it's the command form. So it would be C slash feminine singular. You do want to put that in here. The number doesn't matter. It's just, well, I mean, it isn't the person doesn't matter necessarily because it is a command, but you're going to know that this goes with a feminine subject. Okay, but it would still be lie down. The command is lie down. You don't care that you're talking in the translation of the verb. You don't care that you're talking to a woman. But if you saw it in context, then it would matter that you have the feminine form here. If you're talking to, if the person who's being commanded is feminine. Okay. All right. And then next one, al tishkavi, same thing, except now we have a negative command. So the NC, negative command, but still feminine singular. At yoledet. So this is you, the pronoun itself. This is you, feminine singular. So again, we're just following the same pattern. You, feminine singular. And then this, the verb itself, is giving birth. So you, again, you are giving birth, or you are giving birth would be the best way to translate that. Okay, and then this one, again, our be able verb, yakalti, yakalt. So the suffix tells you that this is the perfect tense or past tense, essentially. So this is you were able. You were able. Again, the tav. This is why this is irregular, because even though you don't actually going back here to the imperfect, you don't have a tav in front. You have the yad, but in the past tense or the perfect tense, yakal, you have the AO format, and again, it tells you that this is the perfect tense. All right, and then the last one is tukal. Again, this strange situation here, but you have you will be able. So again, it's in the imperfect tense. You, in this case, you, because we're following the same pattern, it's going to be the feminine singular all the way across. Okay. All right. Next one is Yakol. He is able. Yarash, he has inherited. So all of these are going to be in your perfect tense. Shakav, he lay down. Yalad, he begat, or he gave birth to. Strange sentence. But anyway, you call would be he will be able. So I, so in the imperfect tense. Yerosh, same imperfect tense. He is your pronoun. Yaled, he will beget in the imperfect tense, he pronoun. And Yishkav, he will lay down imperfect tense. He is the pronoun. All right. So there they are. So perfect, you, feminine singular, imperfect, command, masculines, or that should be feminine singular, sorry. Command, feminine singular, the negative command, you, imperfect, you, feminine singular, perfect, you, feminine singular, imperfect, you, feminine singular. Again, perfect, he, he is the pronoun, perfect, he is the pronoun, imperfect, 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 imperfect. All right. So again, look over these, make sure you're familiar with them. All right, let's continue on now. And again, we're going to go a little faster just to get through this. You've seen the review. So if you want to stop the video now and practice on your own, and then I'll put the answers up here in just a minute, and then you can see that, review it, review what you've done, come back here again as often as you need to. This is a long video. You can do this in however many segments as you need to. All right, so go ahead and stop the video now. All right, so here are the answers, or here's what we're looking for here. So this is the imperfect tense. You've got your prefix, and the pronoun is she. Imperfect tense, prefix, pronoun she. Imperfect tense, prefix, pronoun she. Imperfect tense, pronoun, in this case, she. Again, this can be, and I should point out, she and you, masculine singular, in the imperfect can look alike, but we're calling all of these she based on the translation or the sentence that they're taken from. All right, and then here's another clue, because the rest of these are the perfect tense, because you have your ha ending, your feminine ending here, kamate. So this is perfect tense she, imperfect tense she, and perfect tense she. All right. Second line, then we have the perfect tense we, perfect tense we, perfect tense we, imperfect tense we, imperfect tense we, imperfect tense we, perfect tense we, perfect tense we. All right. So again, stop the video here if you want to practice it on your own, and then come back, and then we'll look at the answers, and then you can go back and practice as many times as you need to. As I said, download from Google Docs and practice separate from the video, however is easier for you to learn the material. So go ahead and stop now. And there's the answers. So here we have the imperfect tense, you to oo, you masculine plural, to oo, you masculine plural, tem, in the perfect tense would be you, masculine plural. Tem is a suffix, you, masculine plural, perfect tense. Tem, you, masculine plural, perfect tense. And then te-u, imperfect tense, you, masculine plural. And te-u, imperfect tense, you, masculine plural. Second line, then, we have the u, perfect tense, which is they, suffix. U, they, suffix, perfect tense. Yeu, they, prefix, they, imperfect tense. Imperfect tense, yeu, they. Perfect tense, u, they. So again, here, because you have the yud here, you might say yeu, okay, that must be the imperfect tense. However, it has the kamats, so that's where this pattern becomes important. This tells you that that is not yeu from the imperfect tense. It is, the verb is yarash, and so, or yashu as it comes out in this one. So that is the perfect tense and they. And here you see the difference. You have ye, or rather year, shu. So this is the same inherit, same verb, inherit, or possess. So this is they, imperfect tense. Okay, so again, we have the perfect tense u and they. Yeu, imperfect tense, is and they, right? And let's continue on now from on to exercise 8, sentences 1 through 5, page 221. Just taking the verbs from those exercises, or some of the verbs from those exercises, and then, as we did before, I'll have you stop the video, and then we'll go through each of the verbs here, the identifying the verb type, and then the person, gender, and number if applicable. So go ahead and stop the video. And here are the answers. So imperfect tense, we have the suffix, and this is with the pronoun she or you. And again, in this case, because we know in context, later on we'll know that it should be she. So that's in the translation, that's what you'll want to use here or there at any rate. So tered, I'll just read them across. Tered, lirot, ta avor, lo tetse, tishkav. So she will go down. The infinitive form here, to see, and then she will cross over. She will not go out. We have the negative here. She will not go out. And then we have the infinitive form. I'm sorry, I keep saying infinitive, the imperfect form. And this would be she will lie down. Second line, ered, e'avor, lo, etse, lo, eshkav, lishmoa. So I now will go down. I will cross over. I will not go out. I will not lay down. And the infinitive to hear. Continuing, go ahead and stop the video. Nered, na'avor, netze, lo, nishkav, latet. So now we are looking at the pronoun we, in the imperfect tense here. So we will go down, we will cross over, we will go or go out, we will not lie down, and the infinitive, to give. Next line, yardu, ya'avru, lo yetsu, yishkavu. Now we're looking at they for the pronoun on all of these. In the perfect tense, we see that at the yes as a suffix. So they went down. They will cross over. Now we have the imperfect, ya'u. They will not go out, the negative. And here we have an extra I. We don't need that one, but we have the imperfect tense. And they, ya'u. So they will lay down. Last line, terdi, ta'avri, tetzi, lo tishkavi. So again, we have now the feminine singular pronoun, te'i, te'i, in the imperfect tense. So you, feminine singular, went down, or will go down, I should say. And then you will cross over. You will go out, and you will not lay down. Okay. And here we have more to look at. So go ahead and stop the video. All right, so here we have he in the perfect tense. He ruled, he built. And Bob Conversive, I don't have that up here, but this is the Bob Conversive. So even though this is the imperfect tense, it's actually going to be marked as perfect. So it's so he opened, he called, and then the infinitive here is to guard. Last line here, we have the feminine, the she pronoun, and we have she ruled, she built, and she opened, again, the Bob Conversive, perfect tense, and she called. Okay. And go ahead and stop the video, and then we'll come back. So now we have the perfect tense and the pronoun I all the way across here. But taking a look at it, so we have malachti, baniti, va'eftach, va'ekra. So this would be I ruled, I built. Now the Vav conversive, so still perfect tense here. I opened, and I called. Second line, we have you, masculine singular, all the way across. So we have malachta, banita, v'tiftach, v'tikra. So you, masculine singular, ruled. You, masculine singular, built. You opened. Again, we have the imperfect changing to the perfect because of the Vav conversive. And then you, masculine singular, called. Last line now, we have the pronoun they all the way across. Perfect tense in all of them, but this with the Vav conversive. So they ruled, they built, they opened, and they called with the Vav conversive there as well. All right, again, stop the video. We'll come back. So now we have verbs of emphasis here. So remember that the first, well, it doesn't have to be in front. It could be next to it, but all of these, it's in front. It comes before the main verb. So all the first verb does is emphasizes the second verb. Generally, you can translate this as really, verb, surely verb, all of and anything like that that just adds emphasis to it. So what we have, so let me read them across here. Chateau, tishte, achol, tochal, shamoa, tishma, lo, yuchal. Okay. So you, masculine singular, that's going to be the pronoun on the first three. So you will, this is in the imperfect tense, you will really drink. You will really eat. You will really hear. And then we have the negative here in he will not be able. He will not be able. And we don't know what the rest of that verb segment is, but he will not be able. It's just the translation for that. Okay. Next line, chateau, eshte, achol, ochal, shamoa, eshma, le'ekol. Again, emphasis. So in the pronoun here is I. So I will really drink. I will really eat. I will really hear. And then the infinitive, to eat. Last line, chateau, tishtu, achol, tochlu, shamoa, tishmeu, and lishtot. So pronoun here is you, masculine plural. So you will really drink. You will really eat. You will really hear. And then the infinitive is to drink, lishtot, to drink. Okay, so now we have another section. So go ahead and stop the video. And here we go. We continue with verbs of emphasis, the infinitive emphasis. So we have chateau, yishte, achol, yochal, shamoa, yishma. And the pronoun is he will really drink, he will really eat, and he will really hear or listen. Chateau, yishtu, achol, yochlu, shamoa, yishmeu, with the pronoun they. So they will really drink, they will really eat, and they will really hear or listen. Last line, Chateau, Nishte, Achol, Nochal, Shamoa, Nishma. We will really drink, we will really eat, and we will really hear. Okay, so on this one, we're going to do something a little different in that we've added nouns with their pronouns, possessive. So just be aware that not everything in this list is going to be verbs. So you want to look for the noun and identify the possessive pronoun that goes with that noun, or the added pronoun. Okay, so go ahead and stop the video and practice. So let's read across. Yachol, lishkav, nachalato, v'chaylo, chacham, shomer, yacholti, v'cheli. So first is the verb form perfect with the pronoun he. He was able. And now we have the infinitive, which would be to lie down. Okay, so here we have the noun, nachalat, which is, as you may recall, inheritance or possession. So the possessive pronoun on the end of it makes this his inheritance. And his strength. Perfect verb would be he was wise. The infinitive here was guarding. Now remember, we saw this, and this could also be the emphasis form of the verb, but by itself, it's still an infinitive. So in the context of the sentence, we would see there's no other verb next to it. So this is the verb of the sentence. So was guarding becomes the ing form of the infinitive. So was guarding. Perfect tense here, because you have a suffix and the pronoun is I. So I was able. And then you have again my strength. Chel, my strength. Okay. Second line, we have the verb with the pronoun you in the perfect tense, you masculine singular, were able. Now we have your nachalat, your inheritance, and your strength. They were able. Their nachalat, their strength, and their I'm sorry, this is their inheritance. I think I said strength. Their inheritance and their strength. And then the final one is my inheritance or my possession. Okay. And then go ahead and stop the video, practice, come back. All right, so no longer, we're not dealing with any more of the pronouns and nouns. So these are all the verbs again. So we have the pronoun she, we have the suffix of the he, the kamat he, which is the feminine form. So she said. We have the infinitive lemor, saying, and remember that this can also be, this is usually right before a quote mark. So otherwise, if it were anywhere else in the sentence, you could see this as to say, lemor, to say, but in this context, it would be saying, if we saw it in the sentence. Now we have the command forms, and these are all masculine plural. And remember what I showed you, that the reason that these are masculine plural is because it ends in u. If there was a tav in front of this, as there would be in the imperfect tense, it would be teu, which means you masculine plural. And so that's where you get masculine plural here. So we have sit, say, do, see, and give. Last line here, now we have the feminine singular form. Remember, with the tav in front of it, it would be te. And in the imperfect, that is the feminine singular combination. So we drop the tav to make the command form, but we kept the suffix, the e ending. So we have, again, feminine singular as the subject here, if you will. So we have sit, say, do, see, and give. Last but not least, go ahead and practice and then come back. All right, so again, we are continuing with the command form in the first line. So we have now masculine singular, the masculine singular form of the command. So the command is given to a single masculine person. So sit, say, do, see, and give. Back to the verbs. In the imperfect tense, we have the pronoun you masculine singular or she. It could be either one. We don't know until we see it in context. Okay, we'll just translate it with you here. So you will sit, you will say, you will do, you will see, and you will give. And the last line now, these are negative commands, not the negative infinitive. It's because you have the al in front of it. There's no lo, it's al. That means that this is a command. What that means is you ignore the fact that you know what the person, gender, and number is, but it doesn't matter. It's just simply the negative command form. So don't sit, don't say, don't do, don't see, and don't give. And that's all there is to that. If you're still confused, spend some more time going over the information either from the chapter or from these videos. And you really need to spend as much time as you need to, which is why we've taken more time before we got to chapter 21. So just because we come back again starting chapter 21 doesn't mean that you have to start chapter 21 at the same time. Make sure you are ready to go on, that you have this down, because from here on, those patterns that we've talked about, those patterns are going to be very, very important to come across. So be sure you've worked with those and you're familiar with the patterns and familiar with all of that. Okay. So again, hopefully that has been of help to you. We'll be back next, I believe, by next Sunday. We'll begin at least with a review for chapter 21, unless something else comes up. Of course, we do have Passover coming up in April, so we'll be stopping for a little while then. But if you're watching this as we continue, otherwise that was an irrelevant statement to you. But at any rate, we will continue then from here. So thanks for joining me for Yeshiva B'nai Noach. I'm Tom Averna. Shalom.